Welcome to Oregon Indie Film, a video podcast that shines the light on Oregon's independent film industry. I'm your host, Dawn Sellers. I interview Oregon's independent filmmakers who offer insights into the creative process, challenges, and triumphs of making movies in Oregon. This episode features Kelsey Taylor, writer and director of To Kill a Wolf, an independent feature film that was filmed in Oregon. This story is a modern-day fairy tale, now playing at Regal Fox Tower in downtown Portland, as well as theaters in Bend and Eugene. It was a pleasure to sit down with Kelsey and talk about how she went from a small town in the center of Washington to Los Angeles, where she has made a name for herself as a director and now independent filmmaker. You'll hear about how filming near Mount Hood in February brought some challenges and some unexpected magic, as well as the search for distribution and advice for those of you wanting to make a film. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Kelsey Taylor. So I am here today with Kelsey Taylor, director of To Kill a Wolf. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So you are To Kill a Wolf is currently playing in Portland, also in Bend and Eugene, and through tomorrow, I think, right? Is that tomorrow's the last day to catch it? So, but then you'll be back to North Bend, I saw, September 6th.
Yeah. There's also, if you believe the Regal website, it's playing in Portland next week as well. We don't know if it's a real thing or not. So let's hope.
Oh, let's hope. Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll just start off by having you tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Kelsey. I'm a director, a writer out of necessity, a producer out of necessity. But I love making movies. I do a lot of commercial work as well, done some short films. But this is really my first debut feature. I worked a lot as an assistant director and saw firsthand like how films get put together. But this is my first time in the foray of actually directing something feature length. And that's a daunting thing when you go from short films to something that's 90 minutes. It's a long time to maintain a narrative structure and make sure people enjoy your characters and all those fun things.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge to jump from a short to a feature for sure. When did you first want to be in film? Did you always know you wanted to make films?
Yes, I was one of those obnoxious little children at 11 years old. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. Like, we didn't really grow up watching films all that much. We had a tiny collection of video cassettes. But I did a lot of reading, and I think that my love for film is born out of storytelling, and I love the visual aspect of film. And it is its own language. But growing up, I was always running around with a camera, roping my friends into doing music videos, turning class projects into films. Anything that I could make into a film, I did.
Yeah. What was your first camera?
Oh boy, I don't even know. It was a little flip camera. It was digital, but it was a little flip camera. I don't know what it was. And then I came to college right as DSLRs were getting really, really popular, and that was quite the game changer. It's kind of funny. My partner is a cinematographer, and we compare notes because he also grew up in the same way, making films with his friends, but he was very focused on the visuals. And for me, I would just plant the camera and have it play out kind of like a theater scene. So it's funny that you can have such different ways of approaching it, but still have a love for making films.
Yeah, exactly. Are you from Portland?
No, it's very confusing. I'm from Washington.
Oh, okay. Well, close. Yeah,
Close,
Northwest. Did you go to film school?
I did. I grew up in rural Eastern Washington, and I left to go to film school in Los Angeles, and I've still been puttering around there since, trying to figure out how to get out.
Now you're trapped. Where did you grow up in Eastern Washington?
It's a very, very small town. It's called Kashmere, Washington.
Oh, I know where that is.
You do? Okay. Usually I have to tell people it's close to Leavenworth, and then everyone's like, okay, I know where that is.
Yeah, it's north, isn't it? More north?
Like dead center. Like it's like 45 minutes from Wenatchee, right in the foothills of the Cascades. Great agriculture, lots of apples. Applets and collards is our claim to fame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good place to grow up, a very small town, like 2,000 people. And most people stick around, and I understand why. It's a nice place to live.
Yeah. But I bet that was quite a culture shock to go from that small town to LA.
Yes, my school was 3 times the size of our town, and I had a hard time that first semester getting adjusted and being in a big city, not being around nature. I think I'm still getting adjusted. It's just, yeah, it's not the same, and you miss a sense of community. And I think in college you do have that, but then once you're out of college, you're in this giant city, which is another struggle to find your people and yeah, be happy.
Yeah. So you say struggling to get out. Do you have a preference of where you would go? Like if you could, would you go back to Kashmir or?
I can't go back. I definitely don't think I would go back. I spent most of my life wanting to get out of Kashmir, and I think
Hmm.
will probably stick to that. That said, my partner and I have been looking for the promised land and having lots of conversations about that. I love Oregon. I really do. I
Yeah.
love the coast a lot. Where we shot in Mount Hood, I tried to buy a cabin there at one point. It was like a decrepit, no foundation. Like I could afford it, and everyone talked me out of it, which was a good choice. But I would love to live somewhere in the woods. I'm getting married this fall in Mackenzie Bridge, and I love that area.
Oh, I love that area. That's where I grew up. I grew up in
Oh
Eugene area. So
my
yeah,
gosh.
it's
It's
beautiful there.
beautiful. Yeah, and you're so close to the coast and the mountains. I just
Hmm.
can't really beat that. But I
Yeah.
my partner's a surfer though, so we're trying to weigh that as well.
Yeah. Well, you are close to the coast though. I mean, there's some surfing on the Oregon coast, I
Yeah.
suppose, if you have a dry suit and you can't, the cold doesn't bother you.
I have the whole suit now. We did a little surfing in Canada and the Oregon coast, and I actually like it because there's just not as many people out there.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, tell us about To Kill a Wolf. So it's sort of a modern retelling of Little Red Riding Hood.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we've been trying to figure out how to discuss it exactly because as far as a fairy tale goes, it's maybe more of a deconstruction of Little Red Riding Hood. You could watch the whole film and not know that it was connected at all to the fairy tale. I think it adds an interesting layer to it to look at the characters as archetypes and subvert your expectations when you know the story of Little Red Riding Hood. But we've experienced some people are like, wait, can you give me a refresher? Like, what is Little Red Riding Hood about? So it's been interesting, and I'm still going back and forth of whether or not it was a good idea to frame it as a fairy tale.
Mm.
Just for me, it is a story with a message, and I think fairy tales are the stories that our children grow up with. It's how they learn how to be in the world. And in that sense, this to me does feel like a modern fairy tale, what we should be telling our children to look out for and be wary of.
Yeah, I think most fairy tales are warnings of what to watch out for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so did you write this?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wrote this way back in 2017, and it's evolved so much since then. It's kind of unrecognizable, but it was always framed as Little Red Riding Hood, told through the lens of sexual grooming. For
Mm.
spoilers.
Yeah, don't give us any spoilers because I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen it yet. I want to see it. It looks fantastic. I watched the trailers, so yeah, I'm anxious to see it. You've had a very successful festival run with the film, winning both the Portland Film Festival and Bend Film Festival. So tell us about that, about the festival run, and kind of how that went.
Yeah, it's funny because it is successful. I think we had the initial frustration of applying to the big festivals, Sundance, Tribeca, TIFF, and we didn't get into those. And so in some ways it feels like if you don't get into that, then it is not successful. But
Right.
just in being on this festival circuit, we've realized that those festivals are not serving independent filmmakers in the same way that they once were. It's not so much a platform for discovery unless you're operating with a lot more money and
Right.
so yes, we've found our place in these other festivals, and I'm so thankful that those festivals are programming films like ours and not just pulling from the other big festivals, because then you just have an echo chamber of those same small group of films. So I'm super thankful to Bend and Portland. We also premiered at the Edinburgh Film Festival, which was an amazing opportunity to take the film abroad. And I think also European audiences are a little bit more forgiving for films that don't have big budgets and big name talent. So it was really lovely to see that resonate with people there. And yeah, we've been all over with the film. We've been for the last year traveling with it, and it's been really nice to just talk to audiences. I think for me, that's when the film feels the most fulfilling is when it resonates with people. And it's not for everyone. Like Don, you may watch it and you're like, I don't know about this film. um, that's okay. But for the people it resonates with, it makes it all worthwhile.
That's the beauty of art, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't connect with everyone, but when it connects, it's really important and meaningful. So yeah, that's good. Um, do you want to share what your budget was for the film? You don't have to if you don't want to, but
It's so tough because I want to talk about it. We are still trying to sell the film, and so
Right. So yeah, you don't really want to share it yet.
but I will say it's not the $1 million movie we'd hoped it was. It's not the $500,000 movie we hoped it was. So yeah, we are below 500,000, but we're somewhere in that range. And a big part of that was that we shot the film for far less. We are now self-distributing the film, which is its own little nightmare.
Yeah.
And that has inflated the budget because we did go back to investors to raise more money to do it properly. One thing I should mention is that we won this theatrical release through a film festival called Film Fest Knox, which is
Oh.
amazing. It's their second year running. They're based in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Regal is a sponsor of the festival, which is why the film is in Regal Cinemas, which is pretty cool. So we had an avenue for getting the film out into the world. So when looking for a distributor, we're like, unless someone can be really additive to this, the
Mhm.
people who are most passionate about it is myself and my partner. So we decided to take it on ourselves, and we're still hoping to find a partner who can get it out in the world better than we can, but we're doing it by ourselves for now.
Yeah. And so winning that festival, so it just gave you the partnership with Regal, but you still had to raise the money to be able to travel and do all of that.
Yeah, and honestly, the traveling, we're eating that. That's
Yeah.
to deal with, but we didn't even, shipping posters, getting the DCP to the theaters, like all of those things ended up adding more and more cost. It's also how do you get people to go see the movie? So we have a publicist that we're working with, which has been really, really amazing because I don't think we'd have the reviews that we have without that. And that's definitely a reason people are going to check it out. We're also working with an awesome company called Together Films, and they helped form an impact campaign around the social issues that are in the film. So we've been working with a couple of those partnerships to just spread the word among people who are survivors of abuse. And yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so can you tell us what your fundraising process was like? Like, how long did it take you to raise the money? I mean, you wrote the screenplay in 2017. First of all, I guess, when did
Yeah.
you decide to film it? Like, I'm going to film this.
Yeah. So we started in 2017 and we were very impatient. We're like, we got to make a movie. We want to do something. And then we tried to go your traditional avenues of raising money,
Mhm.
and we had optioned the script to producers, and we were going through proper casting channels. We had a casting director, and that was that $1 million version of the movie. That never came to fruition. It all kind of fell apart. You could never quite get all the money. It's also hard, like first time director. It's very hard to sell people on making a movie, period, especially if it's not like straight genre. And this one is a coming of age drama more than anything. So in 2019, we shot a teaser for it and we thought, okay, this is the next thing. Like this will get it across the finish line. And it still didn't. Then we hit a pandemic. So it was after the pandemic that we just said, reset. Let's imagine the smallest version of this movie. Like this is the one where we're running around in the woods with a camera and anyone who will come with us. And over that time, my partner and my partner's the cinematographer of the film and a producer. So we had decided, look, we're not going to grad school. Like we're not buying a house in this market. Like let's make the movie. Let's do something to invest in our careers making. So we put our money in as the first investors. And then we did friends and family. We don't know anyone independently wealthy, so it was just what people were able to contribute. And then from there, we ended up working with a company called Slated, and their platform is evolving, so I'm not sure what it is exactly now. But essentially, you submit your project, you get graded a score for your script and a score for your team, and then it will be presented to investors based on that score. And we had a handful of investors come through them, which was amazing. We raised probably half our budget through Slated, and without that, like we would not have the full film. We were
Right.
really focused on just getting across the finish line of making it, but we needed those people to get it across the final finish line. So it's a self-funded film with supplemented income from Slated and friends and family. And yeah, it's been tough, and it's hard to tell filmmakers like, just do it yourself. Like films are expensive. It's a very
Mhm.
expensive hobby, and I think we're all trying to figure out how to make it sustainable because I can't do this again. This was a
Right. Yeah. I mean, you go into debt making your own film, and you have to recover from that before you can make another one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to take advantage of any of the incentive programs in the state?
Unfortunately, we were so small we didn't qualify for anything. So wasn't helpful to us. And we knew there were other states that you could go to and qualify, but it didn't. We wanted to shoot where we wanted to shoot, and the film wouldn't be the same without that. So I know it frustrates me that we're always chasing the incentives because sometimes it's not the best thing for the film. And it feels like it's always changing about where the best incentive is. So hopefully next time I'm in Oregon, we will qualify. That's my hope.
Yeah. So why did you choose Oregon for this film? Stay right there. We'll be back to hear more from Kelsey Taylor. Are you passionate about supporting independent filmmakers and local storytelling? Become a sponsor of the Oregon Indie Film Podcast, where we shine a spotlight on Oregon's thriving independent film community. Our listeners are filmmakers, film lovers, and creative professionals eager to discover local talent and stories. As a sponsor, your brand will reach an engaged, creative audience that values community and authentic storytelling. Join us in celebrating Oregon's indie film scene. Let's bring your brand into the spotlight. Ready to partner? Let's talk.
Calling all filmmakers, performers, and creatives. The Soundstage is your home for high-quality recording in the Portland area. Whether you're working on an audio or video podcast, voiceover project, audiobook, casting your next film, or need help with that self-tape audition, we offer a professional, welcoming studio space. Come record with confidence and mention the Oregon Indie Film Podcast to get $5 off your next session. Learn more about the Soundstage, the Northwest's premier voiceover and recording studio, at thesoundstagenw.com.
Hey there. If you're enjoying this episode of Oregon Indie Film, don't go anywhere. We've got more great conversation coming up. And if you believe in uplifting local voices and the power of independent storytelling, we'd love your support. Hit that follow button, share the show with a friend, or leave us a quick 5-star review. It makes a big difference. Want to get more involved? Reach out at OregonIndieFilm@gmail.com. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah. So, well, being from Washington, I love the Pacific Northwest. I would have probably gone home to shoot the film, but we had scouted the East Coast as well. We shot that teaser on the East Coast, and like it's a beautiful, magical place. We shot in the Catskills, but it's not quite the intimidating forest of the Pacific Northwest. It's not quite as grand, and there is a bit of a survival element. So we wanted to make sure that we really felt that there was some danger there. I also think for the believability of wolves existing in that environment, the Pacific Northwest also makes more sense. So we ended up scouting the entire Olympic Peninsula. We went through Mount Hood. We did Mackenzie Bridge, everywhere in the Pacific Northwest. And Mount Hood, just logistically, we had worked there before in the snow. We knew that there was great crew. We knew that we were close to an airport. We knew that there were tons of cabins tucked away in the woods. So all of those practical reasons just added up. And I'm so glad because the community there was really welcoming, inviting. The crew was amazing. Like this film, again, would not exist in the way it does without those people coming out and welcoming us in.
And so first, how did you find your crew? Like, was it just word of mouth or did you advertise?
I'm trying to remember. So a number of us came up from Los Angeles, people we'd gone to film school with. And I think it's the nature of making something this small is you got to have people you're close with who are willing to go the extra mile.
Exactly.
And part of the reason we didn't qualify for there's a local incentive that's a much smaller spend, but we just didn't have a big enough local presence for that.
Yeah.
But there were only 9 of us on the crew, so very, very small. And we found local hair and makeup. I just went through the Oregon Film Office has a list. And so I just went through and I researched everybody and then reached out to a couple of people and they were kind enough to say, yeah. And then we even traded off some people who were busy. Local casting, I just posted as well, looking for local people. We had some really talented folks who are based in Portland come out for that, which is amazing. It's a good network of people there. And then for finding locations, we had just left notes on people's doors, hoping someone would respond. And we got good responses there. Same thing with local businesses, just walking in and saying, hey, would you be doing? And most people said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the one thing about the Portland area and really Oregon in general is people are very excited to have film here and everybody wants to help everyone. So yeah, that's great.
Coming from LA, everyone's like, how much money you got? That's the first question. I'm like, we don't have any money. So nice to be in a place where people are excited about film because we're excited about it too. And as long as everyone gets treated right, I love the idea of working with local people.
Yeah. And so casting, so you did the casting yourself, obviously. And tell us about the cast, how you found them, how they came to the film.
So our lead, the woodsman, we kind of have two leads but our woodsman character came to us from another film that my partner and I had worked on. It's called High Heat, and it's an action comedy. And we just had a really good time hanging out with him. We shot for a week, night shoots, and there wasn't very much to shoot. So we were just making things up and having a good time. And we thought he was just a really smart actor. He made very unexpected choices. He was very unpredictable in the way he would play scenes. And we thought that we should adapt the script to lean into those strengths because it was much more of a straight, gruff character before. And we're like, you know what? Let's add a little bit of quirkiness here, like more unexpected. And so we did another pass of the script after meeting him and then asked him to go along on this adventure with us. And he said yes. So we had our woodsman, and then through him, we met our other lead, Danny, who was played by Madison Brown. And she and I had a phone call, and you could tell she really gets it. Like, she understands what we're doing here, and she's very subtle and very nuanced in the way that she performs, which when you see the film, there's not a ton of dialogue. So we were really relying on performances to do a lot and also to do a little at the same time. Like, you don't want super overt non-dialogue scenes. So that's how we came to those two. And then our aunt character, she was on the same film, High Heat, and we just thought she was hilarious. Again, like a smart actress, and we wanted to work with her. And so she said yes. And the only person we did not know is our uncle. And I don't want to say too much about him because if you haven't seen the film, he is a very complex character and his performance is really incredible. But he's the one person we did not know anything about. We had no interactions with him until he showed up on set. And we also casted him about week 2 of shooting, which was
wow,
a little worrisome to go into shooting that without your whole cast. But you do what you got to do.
Yeah. That's indie film. And so how many days did you shoot?
Yeah, it's funny. We had 25 days of shooting, which is a ton for an indie film. I feel like most films I've done are more in like the 15 to 17 range. And part of this was because we had such a small crew that we knew, look, this is going to be a marathon. Everyone needs to wear many hats, so we don't want to burn anybody out. So we had pretty low page counts for the most part. We also have lots of location moves. I hadn't really thought of it as a road trip movie when we wrote it, but it is. So yeah. We needed that time because we didn't have any money.
Well, and filming in the woods too. I mean, I'm working on a project right now where we're filming in the woods, and it's challenging, no electricity, you gotta, no facilities.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta have the right people who are down for that.
Exactly. And not long days. Like, you can't do that for 10 hours or more.
And it was February as well when we shot. So still kind of winter, and it would just snow, then it would melt, then it would snow, then it would melt. We were ill prepared for snow, for sure. We thought it would be spring by the time we got there, but it was rough.
Wow. Yeah, I bet. So other than that challenge, which sounds very challenging, being outdoors in the winter in February, at Mount Hood, were there any other challenges that you could think of?
The snow, I can't emphasize how brutal the snow was.
Yeah.
It was still snowing in April. It was 2023, which Portland was having crazy ice problems too. It would wreak havoc with scenes where we would shoot the first half of the scene, the snow would melt by the second half. So we're like, do we shoot it again? Do we start over? And I am really thankful overall that it did snow, but it was havoc because we got snowed out of locations. So we're looking for locations while we're shooting. We rearranged our schedule to go indoors for the first week instead of outdoors. I just don't think any day that we had planned went according to plan. It was always rearranging constantly. But you'll see like some of the locations we return to with snow and without. And that's pretty cool because it does give this passage of time to it. Just at the time, everyone's hair was going gray.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Were there any happy surprises along the way? Like things that really worked out that you didn't expect?
So many happy surprises. There is an amazing shot where our woodsman meets our other character in the woods, and it just started snowing. And we were like, okay, roll the camera. Let's do it, shoot all the wides as quickly as you can. So there's magical things that the snow brought to it. And other magical things. One of our locations had goldfish in the pool, and I thought that was such a cool, bizarre little detail. And so we decided, let's change the blocking. Let's shoot over here now. But yeah, lots of happy little accidents. I feel like that's the weird thing about filmmaking is that you come to it so planned and so prepared, but you also have to be open to what happens and make sure you're ready to have an open mind and capture whatever presents itself.
Well, and I think if you can do that, I mean, really the film takes on a life of its own. It becomes its own thing. And for me, usually better than what I expected.
Yes. My partner says that all the time, like filmmaking is the sum of its parts, and it's awesome when it's greater than the sum of its parts. And I think for this one, it definitely took on a life of its own. Like we had a picture of what we wanted it to be, but we were open to what came, and it does feel like it's its own thing. I watch sometimes, I'm like, it's not how I thought it would be, but that's okay.
But I like it, yeah. And so you're looking for a distribution deal now.
Yeah.
Out there screening the film in as many places as you can. Nothing yet, huh?
No, we had some conversations early in after our premiere, and nothing came of it. And I don't know. I'm kind of torn now because I'm not even sure if we were to get distribution. We've done so much of it already. We're kind of at a weird place. So I'm not sure what a distributor would add at this point, but we still want one because we don't want to keep doing this forever. I think when I zoom out and see like what this would look like to distribute the film ourselves for the next 5 years, it's pretty intimidating because it's a pretty full-time job, and like I don't want to distribute films. I want to make films. So trying to figure that out. I just want to find that right partner because I think they're out there. It's just a matter of getting them to say yes.
And so do you think you'll go to streaming then? Or, I mean, is that the hope with a distributor? Or is that something you would do if you don't get a distributor?
So we're working with an aggregator right now. So the film will be available on Apple and Amazon. So like we have ways of getting it out there. We also have a streaming deal with CW that would take place sometime early next year. And that's this weird thing. It's like if once we do that, the film it's kind of out there.
Right.
Ship has sailed. So we're coming up on that decision point of like, okay, we're doing this ourselves, or is someone to come in at the last minute and pick it up? And I hope so. We had some like pretty good numbers for our New York and LA screenings, and the film's been doing well in Portland. So I'd like to think that we've proved that there is an audience for it. And I think a distributor could potentially give us that elusive SVOD deal, the one that everybody wants, a Hulu or a Netflix. But I don't know. I also don't have a whole lot of faith right now in anyone taking a risk on anything. And the film it's still a risk. It's as great as our performances are. Everyone always cites them. They're not big name celebrities. And I don't think the film would be the same if it was. I'm happy with what it is. But I think from like a financial standpoint, people look at that and are like, well, what can I do with this? And it's disappointing.
Yeah, I think, we hear a lot of times you need a big name actor in order to get a distribution deal.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important if you know what you want, that you stick with that. I mean, you can, you can get a big name actor and end up with a film that maybe you're not so happy with when you have these actors that you really believe in and you really want to see in your story. So yeah, you could go either way, I guess. But I mean, filmmaking is so risky from beginning to, end, really.
Yeah.
But
I wish there was like easy answers for I think that's the scary thing about doing this again. You're like, what did I learn from this? You're like, I'm not entirely sure. Like I would probably do a lot of the same things again, but I don't know. That's crazy, right? To do the same thing and expect a different result.
Yeah, I think that is supposed to be crazy, but we keep doing it anyway, though. So what's next for you? I mean, I know you're super busy with this film right now, but you want to make more films. So do you have other scripts that you've written or stories that you want to tell?
I've got a couple. I feel like I've got my deck of cards of films that I really want to make right now. And they're all a little bit different and trying to satisfy a different itch. One of them is another coming of age drama. It's very similar to this, where it's very dark. It's not quite a thriller, but it has like genre pieces to it. It's an art house film, and I would really love to make that. It's loosely an interpretation of See, I can't help myself but make adaptations. But it's loosely based on Pandora's Box, but it follows a young boy who's struggling with his sexuality. He goes to a new school and ends up starting a war with his very oppressive teacher. And it's set in a very like a rural Oregon or Washington or we'll chase a tax incentive somewhere. I would love to make that, but I think it'd be very similar to this. It'd be a very hard film to make. But it's the one I really want to do. And then I'm also working on a couple projects that are a bit more genre, in the hopes that maybe those are more commercial and easier to get a green light for.
Yeah. And I always like to ask this question of everyone. What is your big, beautiful dream? Like if you could do anything, filmmaking related or not, if money and time was not a factor, what would that be?
I mean, I hope it comes to fruition someday, but I have an Orpheus and Eurydice movie that I really want to make that's a jukebox musical. I'd love to make a musical. And then I have a Loch Ness Monster movie that's also a big like fantasy thing. So ultimately I would love to be building big worlds and incorporating music somehow, but a lot of time, a lot of money. So, down the road, each one of these is just a building block trying to get closer to those two stories.
Exactly. Yeah. Writing a musical is on my bucket list too. I want to write a musical sometime. I'm not a musician, but I love music. So yeah, we'll see if that ever happens. And advice. Do you have any advice for people who want to make a film?
Yeah, this is the tough one because it keeps changing. But I think if you want to make films, I think you just have to make films. And easier said than done. Like things still cost money. I feel like I was given that same advice of like, just go make it. And I'm like, well, you still have to feed people. Like you can't just make a film for free. But you can save your money. You can rewrite your script to be smaller, but I think you do have to just do it yourself. That's what I'm learning. There's a wonderful Mark Duplass talk he gave at South by Southwest, probably 2017 now. The Calvary are not coming. And I've really taken that to heart. Like, even when you think someone's going to show up and produce your film and just take it off your hands and make it easy, no. You've made your first film. You make your first film, you think the second one will be easier? No, no one's coming. So I think I've taken that to heart, and I would encourage other people to take their destiny into their own hands and don't expect anyone to give you anything, even if you've done something to deserve something.
Well, and that's true. Even if you make great films that get out there, I mean, there are still filmmakers who are struggling to make more films, right? So
yeah. Oh, I met Jeff Nichols at the Austin Film Fest, and I was asking him, I was like, how do you like keep going? Like, how do you decide what the next project is? And he's like, I'm tired. It's so hard. Everyone is so hard. I'm like, oh man, if you're saying it's hard, what hope do the rest of us have? But in some ways that's heartening to know that it is a struggle for everyone, and you just got to keep picking yourself up and doing it again. You love it. So
right. Exactly. We go back to that crazy thing, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
So who inspires you as a filmmaker? Is directing kind of your main thing?
Yeah, definitely directing. I think right now I love writing. It's very hard for me. I'm not someone who can crank things out. I enjoy it. I just think expecting someone to hand you a great script is also unrealistic. I'd love to find a partnership or someone to work with at some point. David Fincher to me is a big inspiration. I really love his work. Like it's interesting that it's very diverse too, but at the same time it is so Fincher. So I love his stuff. I think Robert Zemeckis too is someone who's done like a great film in every genre, and I really admire that he never got put into a box. Mm-hmm. And then Kelly Reichardt is someone that I also really, really adore, and I think this film kind of lives in the worlds that she creates, where it's smaller, it's quieter, but you really care about the characters and the moments. The small moments mean something. Patty Jenkins is another. I'm just listing people now.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired by her because she came from a camera background, and I also came up as a camera assistant. So seeing that she made the transition and is still like working at the top is pretty inspiring.
Yeah. So where can we find you online? So To Kill a Wolf has a website that tells all the dates, and we can kind of follow along on that. But are you on socials?
Yes, you can find me at Kelsey Taylor has no Insta on Instagram, which maybe says something. It started out as a necessity and it's continued to be a necessity. So you can find me there. Just don't expect to get a quick response from me. You can find me on my website too. It's kelseytaylor.me, and I'm usually quicker to respond to emails than I am on Instagram. But yeah, follow the film, check it out while it's in theaters if you can, and it will be online for rent at some point. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. We're just trying to.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, thanks so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to cover or tell us that we haven't talked about?
No, I think the only thing I want to emphasize is that sometimes I sound like I'm down on the process and hopeless, and I don't want to discourage anyone from making films. It's just a hard time, and you just should be aware of that going into it. I think you do have to be a bit blind to the distribution side of things and how hard it is in order to just make something. Yeah. So I'd say if you make something good, I still think it will rise to the top. That's the most important thing, or something that you're proud of. Each one is a brick. It may not pay off now, but it'll pay off later down the line. So I just don't want to discourage people from making films.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Definitely. Well, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to let you go so you can get back on your travel junket with the film, and best of luck to you. Yeah.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to continue the conversation with Kelsey Taylor, reach out to her on Instagram or her website. Those links are in the show notes. Be sure to catch her latest film, To Kill a Wolf, in Regal Cinemas now, or find it soon streaming. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review and share it on your social media. It helps us connect with more indie film lovers. Want to support the podcast by becoming a guest or a sponsor? Reach out at OregonIndieFilm@gmail.com.